back to filming these again, and I want to talk about something that, well, it gets introduced in an English class, but it kind of follows sort of how we see entertainment and how we see other people. Archetype versus stereotype. And humans who are overwhelmed by all this data, we have a tendency of taking the jump by something, an archetype, which would be someone that we can really relate to because they appear real. And we tend to jump into stereotype, which is a lot easier because you don't have to put a lot of thinking into it. So, for example, there was this thing that I noticed in the 80s when I first learned about archetype and stereotype. And of course, one thing is when I'm teaching, I'm always like, if I don't explain something, go look it up. I mean, you have the entire world available to you via Google or any search engine of your choice, but go look this stuff up. So back in the 80s, when I first heard about this stuff, yes, I'm a little old, there was this thing I really started noticing, which is we stereotype a lot. And these stereotypes really are pushed through by just groups of humans not really wanting to think and then seeing things that really affect how the stereotype goes. So I got this one stereotype I figured out back in the 80s. And for years, I kept pretty much noticing that this thing kept happening over and over and over. So I'm a graphic designer, and I would work places, and I discovered that if someone in the US, I'm in California, in the US had a non-identifiable European accent, they would be taken far more seriously than anyone local who had just the local accent. And this was a stereotype, but what I noticed is people around me working, especially in like a design studio setting, or in one case it was at a newspaper. And the interesting thing I would notice is, like, there was an art director at this newspaper I worked who had this sort of British sounding accent, and he dressed the part. And suddenly this guy, really, everyone took him seriously. And you know what? I noticed, because I was learning this stuff at the time, he wasn't a very good art director, but they did take him seriously. So that thing just kept growing over the years, and I see it a lot now still. So if you really want to be successful, you have to get an accent that's not from the area, maybe something posh, and then move to another place and watch everyone who's really not putting a lot of energy into stuff really start paying attention to things like that. Then there was a point, I had this one interview, and I heard one of the person interviewing me, because I had to go stand in front of a bunch of people and talk and stuff, and they were convinced that my glasses were not real glasses. They were just fake glass. And I did it so I would look more like someone who knew what he was doing. And that's another part, because like, before I had glasses, hardly anyone took me seriously. There was this big jump where, and the way I got glasses was a friend of mine had glasses, and for fun I tried them on, and suddenly the world came in clearer. And I was like, oh, I thought everyone was supposed to be blurry. But I don't have a strong prescription. But it gets even more interesting. They thought I was smarter. And then when I started working as a designer, I discovered if I buy expensive glasses that actually look a certain way, that helps too. Because we have this stereotype that, oh, someone with glasses knows what they're doing. Well, one thing I have learned about life, that also, this is more of an archetype that I follow, But a friend sent this to me years ago, and might be watching now because she's living in Paris. You know who you are. But I've adapted this to a very simple concept. Once you start believing your own bullshit, it's all over. And I followed that because of the concept that humans are not perfect. We're flawed creatures. And once someone starts believing they know everything, it really is all over. Because there will be flaws in all of your arguments. One thing I've learned, that the more you learn, the more you discover how much you don't know. And that applies almost to everything. So that's what I have today. Think about stereotypes and what they mean to you. And I'm convinced that people are a lot deeper than that. And I'll talk about that some other time.